Hi, my name is Keenan Hartert. I'm a biology professor at Minnesota State University. I perform cancer research and also bioeducation research, which is up on screen. Today, we're going to be focusing on how to use Prism's new data wrangling, extract, and rearrange analysis tool in multiple variables. So this one's good. This is going to save you all kinds of time because you can go from this big mothership of data right here and do the advanced analyses that we've seen already, where you can make, for example, these great XY color and size graphs, heat maps, things like that. Perfect. But if you wanted to do sub-analyses of the data that you already have, there's a way to do that instead of just making a ton of files like I kind of used to make even. So let's go ahead and take a look in here. If I wanted to look at something specific, here's everything right here. You're going to go to multiple variable analyses, go to extract and rearrange. You can click everything because everything will be a choice for you to kind of zoom in on, to call it that. Now, on here, you have different choices of which data you could basically extract and filter and say, I want to perform these small analyses using these setups right here. So let's do an example. This is also going to take you to Prism's other functions, like the strict XY function. We're going to go into that, but only with the data that we want. So if you click data arrangement, let's say that I want to say, I think that the first exam is actually going to predict just the overall class percent. I'm going to group this by, in this case, did people come to the review sessions or not? At least 3 or more times. Let's take a look at this. So first off, the results tab is going to actually get this right here, kind of get you a nice filtered setup for the high review people and the low review people. And these are their final class percents versus the exam 1%. All right. So now looking at this graph, we have a great little XY, really nice and standard. I'm not going to take too much time on here and do like a ton of formatting because I have to move on. But in this case, again, I can tell you right now, the ones that go to the review are just basically a little layer on top. Um, and you can do all the same functions that we've been doing in some of the other videos. Get that all set up. And let's say that I am in high attenders. I want them in a nice little green. And we are going to have low attenders. Poo poo. And they're going to be in red. Oh, see, look at that. Go to office hours, everybody, right? You can do all of your natural standard, linear regressions, things like that right here. Great confidence interval bands, all good. And see how we extracted that and rearranged it from the giant mothership right here. So let's do another extraction here. Extract and rearrange. This time, let's just say we need to make a quick t-test setup, or we can do a one-way ANOVA right here. So I'm going to do a quick t-test. I'm going to say, all right, again, kind of just taking a look here. What is my continuous? I want to say, what was the average exam for people that did you come to the reviews or not? I think, oops, sorry, there it is. Did you come to the reviews or not? How was your exam? Okay, it's going to extract for me right here. And we are in column format immediately. And we can do all the same t-test values, totally set this up nicely. Yep, there's our Welch's t-test, obviously significant. And you can go in and do all the same Prism functions as always. So perfect. And if I wanted to go back up here, I do have a few variables that would be good for a one-way ANOVA. So if I data arrange and I say, all right, I want the average exam for each semester, and I've got 3 semesters. So let's take a look at this. All right, there's every semester. There's everybody's exam. Each patient is still in a row. All right, look at this. Look at that. My spring, they were the top ones. Yeah, my fall 23. Oh, shoot. That said, then anyway, you're going to do a nice little setup here. Compare the mean to each column for an ANOVA. Okay, the general ANOVA was good. Oh, dang, look at that. So fall 23 was lower than spring 23 and same for fall 24. Dang, that spring 23 class actually kind of came through. All right, so next, let's go back to analyze, extract and rearrange. This time, we're going to get a little more complicated. Of all parts of this video, this is my favorite right here, okay? Arranging a two-way ANOVA setup is really tough because you're doing a subcolumn within. So for this case, I want to know, let's give this a shot here. Oh, sorry, yeah. So you got to obviously do the data arrangement. Response variable, I want to see this average exam score. Row factor. because now we're going to have in each column. So the columns that I want, I'm going to do semesters again, actually. So now each column in each group is going to be which semester. The row factor, though, I want to see if they had high work commitments, high or low, how that's going to do. Now, in this case, subject variable, this is another sort of subcolumn tool. I'm not going to run through it right now. You can if you want, because I wanted to show you this. Here are my high versus low committed students, right? Look how many replicates are right here. Look what it would have taken to arrange this in a spreadsheet, right? And I know here, sorry, I'm even my spreadsheet's kind of slowing down. Because I mean, I've got hundreds of replicates in each one and they're uneven like that. And there's spring. See how I'm doing this in each semester? That would have taken me a long time to rearrange. That one right there is the most powerful tool on here for me. And now, excellent. I've got these numbers all set up. I could switch these axes if I wanted, then do row versus column, and I might actually end up doing that. But in this case, I can say, hey, like I want you to run this two-way ANOVA for me. I want you to, do multiple comparisons for me. Cell mean and cell mean, for example. Let's take a look. Yep, I mean, it's going to tell us row and column factor setups. Is there going to be a difference with these ones? Everything like that. I mean, the big thing that this also is offering, again, like I said, is mainly that data extraction to just get to this point, just to get to this point so I can say, hey, I want to arrange this how I want. So for example, if I want to do my cool individual values, I could do median with 95% confidence interval like I like. I gotta make the colors on the bars show up better. But in this case, no, I really like this, and this is going to offer that two-way ANOVA setup where you can compare different columns, the groups, the rows to each, everything like that. This would take a long time to manually set up in a spreadsheet. All right, so what you can do next when you have a ton of data like this is imagine that I wanted to see, for example, are there a distinct or significant number of people that did not or did go to the review sessions related to the number of people that had high or low attendance? Now, I could go to the spreadsheet and stack this manually, do some counts, things like that, but Prism allows you with analyze, and you go to multiple variables, say extract and rearrange. You're welcome to click everybody like this. You'll hit OK. Next, we're going to go say here, contingency for Fisher and chi-square. Perfect. So it's going to ask you, okay, what outcome do you want versus what road was the treatment theoretically? So I want to say, let's say the outcome was, were you a high review person versus did attendance sort of like change that essentially? So we're just going to leave count variable as just the number of how many people in each of these categories, because we're about to make a little 2x2 grid right here. Okay. And again, this is all done now without us having to do this manually and like get counts. So even looking at this, if you are a high review person, probably a high attendance person too. But if you look over here, if you're a low attendance person, you are severely a low review person as well. So you can take a look through columns and or through rows and kind of see the story here. And this is a great way to extract and get data for these analyses that in that giant pile of data would have been kind of tough otherwise. So now that we have these data right here, now we can go up here and say, hey, we are ready for our Chi or Fisher's test. And again, depending on the numbers that you put in there, you can do either. So I would want an odds ratio, relative risk, looks good. Fisher's is good for this. Perfect. And now I get to see that these numbers, strictly speaking, extremely significant because they are kind of, as you could kind of tell just by looking at them, like if you were a high attender, you went to more reviews. Kind of makes sense. But the best part is, besides like the odds ratio and relative risk that we have here and that you can calculate, which again, much easier than doing that in the spreadsheets. Here we go. Now you can get all the totals. Everybody's here. That looks good. And especially if you're trying to build like other stuff or what's really great is you can make like histograms on the bottom here if you had more columns, things like that. But here's some of my favorite stuff. Look at the row totals right here. So if you were a high attendance person, 43% of you were also attending those high reviews. So this is just looking at this right here. Now, if I want to isolate and look at the low attending people, look at that. If you're a low attender, populations would say you're also a pretty low review person too. Shoot. But column total is going to reverse that for us. Now we're going to say, of the high review crowd that existed, 81% of them were high attenders in lecture anyway. And then you can go over here as well. Now, grand total is obviously super helpful, but again, remember that now populations are going to just be larger based on which group was larger to begin with. But again, you can still obviously use that. But the Fisher's test does a great job just kind of parsing this out for us. And again, the extract function took us right here to this nice little table. And again, we could have done more. We could have done different data with this if we wanted, but remember where you started. And the best capability is that, again, this gives Prism the ability to do some of the organization and like really quick shortcuts that otherwise manually would have taken quite a bit of time.